it was the same thing. Like, you know, I write in bulk, and I on my computer, there's folders that say just, you know, new lettuce ideas, lettuce demos. And I got about 50 to 70 ideas that would work. And I just keep sending them to the guys. And if they say that, you know, they want to get on it, they want to, you know, they want to take it to the next level, then we'll cut it. So.
Hey, what's up, Adam? How are you?
Good. Sorry about that.
All good. All good. I appreciate you doing this. Thank you so much.
Right on, brother. Appreciate being here.
Awesome. I'm Adam as well. And this is about you, your journey in music. And we'll talk about you guys are doing a festival coming up in October as well.
That is correct.
Awesome. I always start off with born and raised. Where were you born and raised?
I was born in Boston. I was raised in Nyack, New York.
Okay. How long were you in Boston for before you moved to New York?
I lived there till I was 2.
Oh, okay.
And raised in New York, yeah.
Right.
And then I went back to Boston for college, and that's where I met the lettuce guys.
Yeah, that's what I was reading. That's awesome. Cool. So New York, what was it like growing up in New York?
Just tons of different cultures and people of all kinds, and it really you know, was a beautiful experience musically and culturally.
Sure. What about, how did you get into music? Do you come from a musical household?
My parents are both musicians. My great uncle is a musician. It's the family business.
Oh, wow. Okay. That's cool. So your parents who are both musicians, are they drummers, or like, how did you get into drumming?
Yeah, my parents are both drummers, and they're both songwriters and multi-instrumentalists. And they really just set it up for me and made it really easy to live this life.
That's amazing. And how old were you when you started drums? And was that your first instrument?
Yeah, about 2-3 years old. I got on a kid around 3 years old. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So growing up, were you when you were in school and stuff, were you in the band and all of that?
You know, I was just playing with all. Yeah, my mom's also a music teacher, so she was basically collecting bands and talented people from in the whole county and putting me in band situations from the time I was like 8 years old, 9 years old, and been performing for all the elementary schools in the whole county since I was 5. And yeah, it's just been my life since I was a baby.
That's amazing. And then you went to Berkeley, and was that somewhere you wanted to go? Like, you knew you wanted to go as a kid, or it just happened to fall that way?
My parents went to Berkeley, and I was pushing them to go to art school, but they really pushed me to go to this little summer program when I was 16 at Berkeley, which is where I met the core lettuce members.
Oh, wow. So that was at the summer. I've interviewed other artists that it's kind of started out doing the summer program and then eventually went to the school.
Yeah, the summer program was big for me. I was in '92, and that's when met Eric Krasno and Eric Coombs and Ryan Zoidis, Adam Smirnoff from Lettuce.
Wow. Yeah. I've actually had Eric Krasno on my show before. He's a really cool dude.
Oh, that's my brother.
Yeah, he's a great. Yeah, actually, was talking a lot about you guys when I talked to him.
Yeah.
That's amazing. So you guys all met there, and then ended up all going obviously to Berkeley. So when during the summer camp, were you guys jamming together? Like, how did that camp work?
Yeah, it was just like instant bond, you know, all of our first time away from home, and we realized we all liked the same kind of music. We realized we wanted to start a band, so we decided to all come back to Berkeley at 18.
And then you all reconvened when you got back there. Well, a couple of years later, did you stay in contact between then?
Yeah, we totally did. We were all, you know, bonded for life from the summer program. You know, we just ran around and went to raves and did all kinds of crazy stuff, and you did a lot of jamming, and then we got back to school at 18 and started the band.
That's amazing. And so the band starts, and you start off playing right around Berkeley area?
Yeah, Krasno knew how to book gigs. We all knew how to play our instruments, but Kraz knew how to play instruments and find places to play in front of people.
Okay. And once you started kind of building a fan base around the college area, like, what was the first kind of move that took you out of that? Or were you booking tours or booking gigs outside of Boston early on, like when you guys were still in school?
Yeah, we did a bunch of Boston colleges and stuff like that, and house parties and dorm parties and all that stuff, and then eventually it turned into venues.
Okay. And from there, like, what would you was there like a moment that you got that you can remember that kind of like changed the it for you all, or was it like a kind of a process of just playing and playing and playing, or
What's your question again?
like was there like what was kind of like a milestone that you can remember, like kind of a turning point for the band?
I mean, all those early gigs in 94, 95, 96 were the building blocks of the band. And, there's too many, but, I remember a couple, like dorm parties that we just tore the roof off, and we were the only band playing hardcore funk music. And that's, during that time, funk wasn't really a popular thing for young people at that
Right.
time. Everyone was doing like prog rock or Fish or something like that, and we just really gradually just kept playing and kept our style of music that we loved.
Yeah, was that something that you like were always kind of raised on? Was that what you enjoyed playing? I mean, because it is
Yeah,
like, yeah, you'd think around the early mid '90s was like a lot of the grunge and the prog rock, like all those style of bands. Not
yeah,
really the. I mean, funk was around, but it wasn't for when you think of like college kids. I don't think of that's really that style very much, but
yeah.
maybe I'm ignorant to it.
We were diehard funk heads. We were all raised on that music: Tower of Power, Earth, Wind and Fire, Stevie Wonder. And yeah, we just wanted to play that music, and we just forged ahead and kept it going. We didn't care if it wasn't popular, or wasn't the cool thing to do, or we just kept doing it.
Mhm. And you just kept getting bigger and bigger and touring and touring and touring, and then, like, was like, when you put out your first record, I mean, and getting, like, a deal, like a record deal, what was that like? Well, that must have been big for you all as
I mean,
well.
it wasn't really a record. It was Krasno's brother had a little mom and pop
Oh,
label.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah, his older brother, Jeff, he had a little label, and just agreed. We already had recorded the record without his input at all. We just did it on our own. I had a friend that had access to a recording studio in New York, and I called the guys over and we started recording. And then Jeff knew how to put it out and get it out as an official record.
Okay, and from there, you kind of, aside from him, you put out records under your own label as well, right? I mean, like, it's kind of always been this more independent thing?
Yeah, I mean, after that, um, yeah, I think after that record, we started doing just being independent and just releasing records on our own. Yeah.
I mean, to achieve what you guys have done without a major backing, a major label, especially back then. I mean, that's what I remember. Like people would be like, "Okay, get signed to a major label and then do this and the other thing." But to really forge your career all just off of being an independent artist, that's pretty huge.
I appreciate that, man. We just yeah, we never had any label interests or any of that stuff, and we also didn't want anyone's fingers in our goals and music. And so yeah, we just continued to do it ourselves. And luckily, we got great booking agents and managers, and kept us on the road to continue touring, so we could pay for our own records. So we pay for our records out of our tours. So basically,
Wow,
the ticket sales pay for the records.
that's amazing. And I'm sure did people. I mean, once you were doing this independently and really making a name for yourself, did labels come out of the woodwork and were like, "Oh, hey, what do you guys got going on here?"
I mean, we've gotten some hit up a little bit, but nobody really ever saw us as you know a money maker, as far as what we were doing. So we just we believe in ourselves, and we didn't look for outside um, help at all. We just kind of knew that we had to continue doing this, and yeah, we just continued with the mission.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. Like, as because you'll see as nowadays with like internet and TikTok and these things, like one person will put something out and then like a label will try to like jump on it or be like, oh, I want to, this is working. I want to get involved. Where it's like you guys had it going and it was like at that point you you've already achieved. you know, like what else would, I guess, like, yeah, you wouldn't want other people to get involved if you're already doing it yourselves, right? I mean, why let other
Exactly. Yeah, it just didn't make sense unless, somebody came with like a really amazing opportunity or something like that. But it made more sense for us to just keep it grassroots and just make the music we want to make and the music that our fans love.
yeah, and I mean, and to get like Grammy nominations and like all these big things as an independent artist, I mean, that's really unheard of.
And we're very thankful that we've forged this path and gotten to this point.
Yeah, and to continue to do it, I mean, with those same kind of group of people, right, from the early 90s, I mean,
Yeah,
92.
most the core four and lettuce that are still in there. Me and Ryan and Shmeens and Jesus. We've been playing since we're 16 years old, and yeah, we all run the business together, and it's a total democracy, and yeah, it's just we're lucky to be here.
Yeah, it's just something that, like, when you think of bands, at least when I was younger and growing up, like, and I grew up in San Diego, and there'd be people in bands, and then they would leave bands and then split off, and then kind of the people that really wanted to do it as a living and really wanted to put the time and blood, sweat, and tears into it, it almost dwindled down into like a handful of people. Then they would keep going, and to have a band of people that and your buddies that you've been playing with since you're 16 years old and all kind of have the same mindset and the same desire and the same goals to move forward. I mean that yeah, that's really, really a rare thing to see.
Yeah, we're pretty fortunate to that we all have the same goals as far as living this life and being on the road and being in the vans and then eventually getting to the tour buses and playing these giant festivals. And we just believed in it from the beginning, and we're just fortunate to be here.
Yeah, and you guys put out a record like every couple of years. I mean, coming with COVID happening and then like how did that I mean, were you guys doing your records a certain way and then when that happened, did you have to kind of switch up the the way you made the records? Because you did Unify and that came out in 2022, but you had a record in 2020. Were those like did you have to kind of adapt to that? I mean, I'm sure you did have to adapt to that situation. And how did you like what did the recording process look like or the writing process look like on the
It was pretty
later album?
similar. It was pretty similar to how we do most of the records. We uh, we all create demos on our own and send them around. And like I might do a beat with a bass line and some chords and a guitar part, and I'll send it to the horn players, and they'll add some horns to it, and then that's a song. Or you know, the guitar player will come up with a groove, and I'll add some drums and some bass. So we all just send stuff around, because we all like to write on our own and create um songs from scratch on our own, and then bring it to the band and see how they like it, so and get feedback from everybody. And someone might say, hey, I like that horn line, could you make it a little bit dirtier, and that kind of stuff. And then we get all these demos together where they sound really pretty decent. They're not album ready, but they're pretty good and they're fun to listen to. And then we bring those demos to the studio like we did during the pandemic, and when we made I think we made Unify during the pandemic. And yeah, and we get in there and we just cut the demos, and we all love being in the studio. We're all super comfortable with each other, and we self-produce it, we self-mix it, and it's just a formula that's worked for us.
Yeah, so it's always kind of been that way. You would record your own parts on your own and kind of send it or show each other. It wasn't as like "All right, we're all going to be in this room and I got this drum line or I got this drum thing or my bass line," and then everyone kind of builds off of it. It's more like someone starts, hands it over, and then you kind of add your pieces. Is that what you're
Yeah, I
saying?
mean,
I'm
I mean,
sorry.
there's all types of ways it goes down. Sometimes we'll be at sound check at a gig, and we'll come up with something like that's a song, and that happens. Or we're like it's late 4 in the morning and we finish the show, or we're traveling to somewhere, and I'll be on my computer and just messing with an idea, and the guys will come in and go, what's that, or like the next morning I'll play it for everybody, and that's a song we should record, so we just there's all different kinds of formulas for it, but mainly it's when we get hit with inspiration that's when the songs are born.
Wow, that's interesting. Yeah, and it's a cool that you've been doing it similar way, and that didn't really change with, obviously the world and
Yeah, it
pandemic and all
actually
that
was. I
stuff.
actually had more time because I wasn't on the road and I wasn't being distracted by anything else, any shows or anything. So I think, with Unify, it was it really gave us time to write and fortify our ideas and get them to another level without having to jump on a plane or do anything crazy like that.
Yeah, because you guys been playing. I mean, you play so many shows and you've been putting out music for so long. That must have been quite a, you got to really adapt to now. Okay, now I have more time at home, or kind of living a different lifestyle. I bet to a certain degree.
Mhm.
Um,
Totally.
was that hard to be like creative at that time, or was it barely,
Not for
that's
me. It was like the kind of break that I would have only got if I was 80 years old. When we all died. So it was great to be, you know, in a great space. I had a great house that I was living in, and I had a full home studio. We all have home studios, and it was actually, I had a great pandemic. We all had great pandemics.
yeah. Uh, yeah, with having more time, did you guys ever get in kind of like this overproduced like whirlwind? I've talked to other artists that are like now they had so much time they'd listen to something like a million times and want to tweak like one little thing, or like spend too much time on it, or you do you usually like when it's done you just it's done and that's it.
Yeah, we don't nitpick. We're all about the meat and potatoes. Like um, the details come in the studio when you get in there and fine tune everything. But as far as the creative process and writing the songs, we just basically bake that cake and then go in the studio and apply the icing.
Okay, I love that. That's a great way to put it. And obviously, you guys have a ton of shows. You're always on the road, and we'll talk about the Hulaween, which you have coming up in Florida, which will be like a Halloween towards the end of October. Like, tell me
Yep.
about like, are you guys? They've done this for a handful of years, right? I think 10 years or something.
Yeah, and before it was Halloween, we used to play at that park for Bear Creek Festival, which was like a smaller, like funk-based festival. Our friend Paul Levine is a good friend, and he books that park and has been throwing all kinds of festivals there that we played. So eventually, he partnered with another promoter friend of ours from Chicago, Berg, and they created Halloween about 10 years ago. So this is we really enjoyed playing this park, and we're very fortunate to be on this giant lineup.
Yeah, there's some massive acts on there. Well, not that you guys aren't. You're a part of the large bands that are on this. And have you guys done Halloween before? Or I mean, you
Yep,
said you did the other
we've done it
things.
every year. We've
Oh,
done
you've
it
done it every year.
every year. Yeah.
Wow. And do you have anything like as far as like the Halloween aspect of it? Do you guys dress up, and is it like kind of like that type of party, or is it just they just
Um,
announce around that time period?
I mean, there's been a few times we've worn some masks or done some stuff like that, but for the most part, we just go out there and try to play our best because that crowd is the ultimate, and they support us, and we try to give them a taste of the funk and also some psychedelia and also some like electro vibes too. Like, I used to play with Pretty Lights, and he's going to be back this year, and it's
Oh
going to
yeah.
be a really great vibe having him back with his band. And so yeah, we're playing Friday, Pretty Lights is Saturday, and hopefully a little collab will happen at some point.
That's amazing. That's amazing. And you play with a bunch of artists, don't you? Or you work with a bunch of artists on different projects?
On which project?
I said you, and just in general, you work with a bunch of different artists, correct?
Absolutely, yeah. I'm definitely. I got a lot of musical friends, and that I would definitely that I love creating with. So yeah, I just love and I bring all that inspiration back to Lettuce.
Sure. Wow. And I'm just curious, like, so um yeah, so do you have the festival coming up, and you just put a new song out too, I believe, right? This year, didn't you? The songs, didn't you? I'm saying, didn't you?
Uh, well, we just recorded a new album, and we're pretty stoked about that. It just got cut like 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, something like that. Maybe longer. What is it, June?
Yeah, it's about to be June or
Yeah,
May.
and around the end of April, we cut the record. So
Oh wow!
um,
So you have a new album coming out.
whole new album that it's like our best work yet, and we're really excited for everyone to hear it. And we haven't named it yet or named the songs or mixed the songs yet, but we're very stoked on that stuff.
Oh wow! Yeah. So I mean, you guys just put a record out last year. I mean, Unified just came out last year. So you the amount of work you guys do and the amount of songs you're able to crank out is that's really, I mean, it's so impressive. Like, when did you start putting this album together? Like, kind of right away?
It was the same thing. Like we write. I write in bulk, and I on my computer there's folders that say just new lettuce ideas, lettuce demos, and I got about 50 to 70 ideas that would work, and I just keep sending them to the guys, and if they say that they want to get on it, they want to take it to the next level, then we'll cut it. So it's kind of like just like a river flowing of ideas and we don't have we don't really understand what writer's block is, thankfully.
That's good. Yeah, yeah. It doesn't look like it. I mean, to be doing this for so many years and to put out so many songs, that's amazing, man.
Yeah,
Well,
we're trying to definitely do a record a year from now on. That's the goal. And not we had some periods where we waited a few years to do it, and that was mainly because we didn't get in the studio and didn't have the organization to get in the studio. The main thing is that we go in, and then about 2 weeks before, we decide on the songs we're going to do, and we go in and knock it out, and then we go on tour, and we have all these new songs to play, and it makes touring exciting. So we're not
mhm.
having to play like the old songs or anything like that, or if we play the old songs because we want to, it's not because we don't have new songs to play. So
Sure, sure. It
it
must
kind of
get
makes touring more fun.
Yeah, it must get difficult too to pull from. I mean, the amount of albums you guys have. You're like, okay, let's do this, that. I mean, is it when you build a set list, is that something that you have to kind of like really sift through, or there's some like go-to definitely songs and then mix in others that you maybe put out 10 years ago
Yeah,
or whatever?
it's really about like tempos to me, like and vibes, and how to bring in Nigel's amazing vocals at
Mhm.
certain points in the set. We sort of have a format with like come come out with something like medium funky tempo, get everybody grooving, and then the second song we shoot up to some like faster funk and get everybody's heart rate going. And then the third song might be some more like kind of dirty hip hop, kind of like 808 kind of stuff, and big bass heavy thing, and then we'll have a vocal tune. So we have tons of songs that could fit in those categories. So it's more like we know what works for the crowd, and how to get their hearts beating, and get them dancing.
Love it, man. Well, I can't wait to hear the new record. I mean, everything else you guys have put out is amazing, and I like that new song, "Didn't You," as well. And I just appreciate your time today. Thank you so much for doing this, Adam.
Thank you, man. I really appreciate it, man. I'm sorry I was late. I just played summer camp with Break Science yesterday, and it was an entire travel day,
Oh
and
my god, yeah, no, dude, please don't apologize. I
yeah,
appreciate
it
you.
was a rough travel day yesterday, but you know, back back at it today.
I love it,
That
man. I have one more quick question though before I let you go. I want to know if you have any advice for aspiring artists.
well, that's a loaded question, but yeah, I would say,
Sorry.
I would say, stick with it and do your own, do your own things. And if you all have to pool your money together to go in the recording studio to record something, do it. Like, don't wait for someone to offer you a record deal, or, like, go in the studio and make a great record and get distribution through DistroKid and put it on Spotify and make content for all the songs, and get your friends to the shows, and eventually everything will happen if the music is good, and make sure everyone in the band is into it, and ready to be a part of a traveling band, and study other bands, study how they do it, and find out who's their managers and agents, and do it yourself. To do it yourself thing, not every band gets signed to Epic Records, so it doesn't mean that if you don't get that big record deal, you can't, a lot of bands that are signed don't play the venues or festivals that we play, and or have the crowds that, you know, we're 100% organic. Everything is word of mouth. People talk to each other and say, we're going to see this band, let us, you know, and that's how it started with us. And so yeah, it's a whole nother way to go about this music industry.